laptop
Suchitra is
so
the only one who is in a very professional ये यार एकदम full कुर्सी वगैरह लेके. Nice.
मेरे पीछे treadmill है. What are you talking about?
I'm very cool.
I love it.
Anyway, guys, we'll just start recording. So it's going to be very, very informal. Please don't be conscious about anything. This is just like a normal conversation between friends, which we will put up on the internet and people will judge us for that. Simple. Okay. Nothing to be tensed about. Guys, let's just begin. Let's just begin with the introductions. Suchitra, will start with you.
Okay, I'm Suchitra Harnahalli. I'm a writer. I'm an MA student of English literature. I teach German. I'm also learning Spanish. I do spoken word poems. I have a blog and I also have a podcast on Spotify where I just upload my poems. It's called Poems Away From Home. So that's
wow. I didn't know this, by the way. I really did not know this, and I and Suchitra talk a lot.
What? I am a little bit offended, but okay.
You never invited me to your podcast, so how will I know?
Because I record my poems and I upload it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You
Guys,
want to record my poems on behalf of me, Sid, then you can definitely do that.
We'll continue, guys. Mansi, we'll go ahead with you.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Mansi. I don't have a lot of fun things to say about myself, just like Suchitra. I don't have a podcast. I so want to have a podcast, but I have a pretty boring life. I'm not a writer. I am working with a company called Zycus as a pre-sales executive. So yeah, that's about me. I love Harry Potter.
Good plug. Nice plug. Okay, moving on. Nikita.
My name is Nikita. I just passed 12 and I'm going to go for engineering now.
I think it's
I've been journaling since 5 years, but yeah. Short one, but that's it.
Very different than what all of us have done, Nikita. I mean, great.
Very different. I mean,
it's very different.
I mean,
somebody can think of engineering after 12. It just blows my mind.
I know. Revolutionary.
Anyway, moving on. Siddhant, we'll call him Siddhant because there can only be one Sid in the room, and that will be me.
Yeah.
Cool. So hi guys, my name is Siddhant, and I have also made very unique choices in my life. I took science, then I took engineering, and I'm in my final year now. And I'm basically following Sid's steps by joining the same company. So yeah, let's see how that goes. And yes,
we'll talk about that a year later.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I would like to hear the reviews.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, guys, moving on to the main content, we guys are here to talk about journaling and how it has helped you. Now, I'm a person who has always thought about journaling, but unfortunately, I don't know where to start. And I don't I know कि एक book होता है उसमें pen लेके लिखने का रहता है, but I don't know anything else apart from that. And I'm sure there are many people out there who want to journal but don't really know how to do it and how exactly would it help a particular person. So let's just candidly discuss as to since when you guys have been journaling, how exactly has it been helping you, and moreover, why is it that you keep going back to journal? So anyone can start.
If you ask me personally, if you go into the rules and regulations, it's going to be really messy. I suggest you take a book, take a pen and just start writing what I'm feeling like. That's what I've been doing, and trust me, because you need to get it out. What's been, bottling up inside us, that's the only thing, and it helps.
Okay. Yeah. Since how long have you been journaling, Nikita? And do you remember when you took the journal for the first time? What did you write in it? Do you remember? Do you have any idea?
Yes, sure. So my school life has been pretty okay for mine. In ninth standard, as I'd been through a lot of things and I couldn't talk to anybody, and I just had this really pretty book. And I didn't know what to do in it. So, just That was the first day I was like, okay, start with those 2 word your diary. And let's just see how it goes. And that's the day, I started talking to it and just talk as a friend. You are just conversing. Only that's all.
Okay, nice, really nice.
Yeah.
Suchitra, why do you journal?
The only way I know how to get everything out of me, or so to say, how to meditate, is by journaling, because I can't sit with myself in a place for so and so time and just be alone with my thoughts and not move. I can't do that. So for me, any given time, my mind is darting in 10 different directions, and the only way I can make everything go in one way at a time and in a very linear way is when I'm writing, because you're forced down to think about one thought at a time, give it one go, and then go ahead. So for me, it's my form of meditation and I can't let go of it. So that's why I started journaling.
And how long has it been now? Since how long have you been journaling?
I think since I've been journaling, it has been 5 years since
Long
like
time.
I'm regularly, yeah. I actually started journaling in a very different way. So the thing is, I used to maintain a diary of sorts, and I was not very regular with it, but unlike most people, I would just come in and I would just write a letter to anybody who had been like really special to me that day, and I would just kind of go ahead and describe the course of my day, that hey, so and so happened, and then I would just sort of put in the impact that this person had on me in that diary. So my diary used to be just letters addressed to most of my friends or people I've met that day. And then that's how, when I went ahead, I realized, I don't have as much time to keep writing letters. And then journaling sort of felt like a nice way to still keep up with it and still get everything out.
Did any of you guys have a diary? I never had a diary. I couldn't even fill in wo
I
₹5
have
wala Navneet
lots,
ka
in
bhi nahi.
fact.
Writing on a pen and paper is like very, it's something that only selective people do. And for newbies like me, I only use an application. It's actually Snaps. It's a very nice application actually. Some of you might know it. So uske andar I write not on a daily basis. I've started doing that recently. But whenever I feel like writing something, whenever I feel like letting out my thoughts and not telling it to anyone else in person or however I like, that is when I use this application, So that has really helped me out. And, like paper pen wala to mujhe pata nahi. But yes, this is something that I have been using and I'll keep using for a very long time. Now that I've started
Or
journaling.
notes.
What?
Or notes.
Yeah, or notes.
Yeah. Mansi, you were saying that you have a lot of diaries.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to what Nikita and Suchitra said. I mean, even I started off when I was pretty younger, and there were things inside me which I was not comfortable sharing with friends, neither with family, like not with anybody. So it was just a way of letting things out. And just like Suchitra said that she used to address it to some person else, I used to address it to the diary itself. So I used to think that I am probably talking to somebody and the diary is that person. And I still have, you remember we used to have those school diaries which we used to get every year for those parent notes and absent notes.
Yeah.
So I had this weird habit of collecting all of those diaries since first standard. And once I don't know what led me to do that, but there was one day when I could not find anything to write on, and I just took that diary from 2 years back, and then I started scribbling in that. So I still have those diaries, and it has got really embarrassing things. I mean, it in fact talks about the younger crushes which we used to have, like fifth standard. Oh my god, I saw this guy and he passed this hint on me, and it affected me in a very different way. So that actually gave me an idea that okay, even if I cannot let it out in front of somebody else, I can just jot it down and it can give me some clarity. So now that I've switched to a more I won't say that I journal properly, but yeah, I do have like a fancy notebook now, which has got some graphics, pictures, which I'm really, particular about. I keep them. I write notes. I purposely bought that Polaroid camera just to
Ooh,
capture that
nice.
moment and put it in my,
Oh
journal.
God.
So
Fancy.
that's something
That is some
which I'm
serious
really, in
dedication out
fact,
there.
fond of. No, dude, I'm
That's
telling you,
same.
if yeah, I mean,
Go on.
girls are pretty particular.
No, but
They
it's
like
really
things
good,
their
yaar.
way.
I really did not know that people take this diary thing really seriously. Do you remember we actually had a thing in school where we were supposed to write a diary, and I never took it seriously, and I never thought that ever in my
Yeah.
life is
That was the
this going
first
to be
cue,
helpful
Siddharth.
to me.
That was the
Yeah.
first
Yeah,
cue.
I mean, see, guys, the situation is the teacher knows why it is important to write diary because she is writing a diary. Okay, I don't know that. मेरे लाइफ में सब सुखी चल रहा है तभी, so I don't really care if I have a diary or not.
Exactly.
Also, there was
Actually,
like I want to
yeah,
share this one thing. Sorry, Siddhant, just one more thing.
it's okay.
I don't know. I remember reading this book, which was in fact, in our curriculum at that time. It was Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank.
Anne
That
Frank.
book has
I was
had
just
a
going to tell you. I was going to tell you that's very Anne Frank of you.
yeah, and that book has had a lot of impact on me. I mean, I remember my not colleagues, my friends in school saying that why do we have to even read it? And I was so engrossed in that book that okay, dude, she actually went through all that and she captured it in a diary, and now we're reading it, and it gives us everything. I mean, every emotion, everything she went through via like in that phase of a world war. So it means a lot, and I would want that someday even my diary would make some difference in somebody's life. Although I wouldn't want anybody to read it, but yeah.
That's so sweet, man. Yeah.
Sid, you were saying, Siddhant, not Sid. Siddhant, you were saying something.
What was I saying? Oh shit. Yeah. So when I was younger, I saw a lot of people around me, even in my family and some of my friends, like older friends, writing diaries and writing their days down, right? And I used to think, what is this stupidity? I mean, like, why are you doing this? Doesn't make any sense to me. But then down the line, now that I'm 22, now I realize, like, it's pretty late for me to realize, but then now I realize that, okay, writing down is something that really helps a person, and it is something so small yet so impactful, I would say. Like writing your feelings down is not a very big thing. I mean, you could just find a paper or pen and just start writing, and yet it can have such big impact on your life, on your own feelings and your own everything altogether. So yeah, I mean, it's something that all of us should do, even if you do not feel like doing it. It's like starting reading. Everyone's like, you should read, you should read. Once you start, it'll become addictive. Right. So just find out your right fit and find out the right time and just start with it, because that will certainly help you out quite a lot.
I
So, guys,
totally agree.
yeah. So, guys, I
Yeah.
have a question. I have a question for you guys. Has it ever happened that there was certain situation that happened with you, and you noted it down in your journal as a chapter? You actually wrote down that this happened with me. I dealt with it in this way, and in case if this situation ever happens to me again, maybe I will do this better. And in future, that situation has happened with you, and you have dealt with it in a better way, or you just have written a continuum to that chapter that, oh shit, I was supposed to deal with it in a better way. I just did the same thing. Has it ever?
Damn,
Reading
I did it
manuals.
again.
I think
Yeah,
it's the
oops, I did it again.
latter for me, Sid. It's the latter. Like I write it down with all of the zest that I have for life. Oh, you know what? This has taught me this, and I'm never gonna repeat this ever again. I'm gonna do this. And then I think years later, so dear diary, I ended up doing the same thing that I told myself not to. It's yeah. I think
And
each
you know,
experience, even though it
this
feels
this is
repetitive, it's different. So
Yeah, it
in
is.
sorry,
fact, I
Mansi, you were
totally
saying.
agree to Suchitra. Totally agree, because There have been
Yes.
instances in my life where I have noted something. Okay, a major event happened in my life. I was extremely wrong at this front, and I do not have to repeat this mistake again. But I don't feel like, okay, if I'm doing that same mistake again, this thought won't even strike my head that, okay, I wrote this down, dude. Do not do this. We're back to square one and we start over, and it's all not worth it. So sometimes you just end up making mistakes and you cannot help it.
You
I
mess
think
up
it's
with the
fine, in
remix.
fact.
Do you guys go back and read the
Absolutely.
chapters in your journals? Do you guys do that? Like
Oh God, I
just
suggest
getting
that. Sorry,
Yeah, Nikita,
I suggest never read it, because in like a very short span of time, don't read it. If it's like fifth, sixth standard, whatever you've written and you read it now, then it's okay. But to read something that's happened like say a month back, I don't know. It happens to me like everything comes back and I'm gone in that shell again, and it feels horrible because you
Yeah.
wrote it when you were very vulnerable and in a very bad position, and then when you read it again, it comes back to you. So when you've written it, just go behind, read it after 2-3 years, then you've healed over it and it doesn't feel so bad.
Yeah, I'd like to add one thing here. When you read it after a certain period of time, that also brings in a good sense of positivity. Oh, look at me, I was such a stupid person or whatever, 2 years, 3 years ago.
Absolutely.
Right.
It
And
feels funny that time.
exactly, it either feels funny or it either gives you a sense of happiness or something that makes you feel like, okay, I'm at a better position altogether. Right. That is something. And
Absolutely.
secondly, I'd like to add one thing. Okay, so those of you who don't know, I have recently started journaling. Okay, even on a daily basis, I've recently started journaling. And how I started off is I was at a very bad place mentally, and I had no one to talk about. I am a guy who talks to friends about anything, and I never used to write anything.
Yeah, I
I
know.
was not doing great. Exactly, So yeah, okay, totally lost me. Yeah, so I had no one. Okay, every friend of mine was busy. I didn't want to bother anyone, so I had this app and I was like, okay, maybe let's just try writing this down, right? So I wrote something and then I shared it with one of my friends, and she was like, okay, good, you started writing at least. And she was the one who insisted me upon writing stuff, right? And then I noticed one thing in myself, that I am very pessimistic when it comes to journaling. I would not document or I would not write anything which is good, but I would definitely write something which is bad. And I think it is the case with most of the people out there. I don't know if
Yeah, I
it's
think it's
true or not.
universal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's good. I mean, pessimists all over. Thank God. It's not just me. So, so yeah, it's like, why do I personally insist everyone to not go back right after writing that stuff down? Is this only ki tum acha kar rahe ho, you are doing fine, and then you'll read that stuff and you'll be like, oh, what's going on in my life again? So yeah, it's something that, or either we should start writing the good stuff as well. So even if you're feeling low, you can read the good
Yes.
stuff and feel good about yourself. Either way around.
Yeah. So on
Now
this
that we're
point,
talking about this optimism and pessimism, just a second, Sid.
yeah,
So
sure.
I remember reading this book at very early ages in my life. It's called The Secret. There was an extreme hype everywhere that, okay, read The Secret, read The Secret. And I was a kid. I mean, I still remember I was probably in 9th or 10th standard and I read that book. And the only conclusion which I could make out of that was that, you know, वो शाहरुख खान का डायलॉग है ना, कौन सा, किसी चीज को शिद्दत से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात
Om
तुम्हें
Shanti
उसे
Om.
मिलाने में लग जाती है. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was the entire gist of that book. And I mean, I was really proud that, okay, even though I'm that young, I can understand that. Now, relating it to the journal writing, I used to write down the one thing which I wanted during that phase every day after ending the note which I've written. I thought that it is going to happen. It gave me a sense of acceptance. It gave me a sense of achievement that, okay, this is going to happen. I'm preparing myself for seeing that day when this entire thing is going to happen. So optimism, definitely. I mean, there are ways, and also there was one thing which I regret, that I stopped doing that in the middle, and it's not good. Never do that, guys. Keep
Yeah,
doing
never
it.
do that, guys. We should really not do that. Did any of you guys see Little Things ka latest season? I mean, I think it's a very common thing to say, but in that Dhruv says one thing is that you should get a frame which says this too shall pass, and you should read it in your happy moments as well as your sad moments. So I think
Wow.
with journaling, I think one should do when you're happy and you should do when you're sad as well.
As well.
Exactly.
Because
I was
it
going to
is
say
really
that.
important.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's it. So I'm one of those who I also journal when I'm happy, all right. But I feel like most of the people who sort of only end up journaling whenever, you know, whenever they're feeling very vulnerable. I will not say sad per se, but just very vulnerable, whenever it's because we've lived our happy times, we freeze our happy times like memories in our brain, and we think that we will always remember them, that you don't need to document them, all right. But when it comes to sadness, it's not necessarily so that you remember it, but so that you tell yourself ki, okay, all right, I have lived through this, how do I process this, and then go ahead. And whenever it comes to journaling, it's such an isolating act. And even though it connects you with yourself, you're kind of doing it individually, alone, in isolation. So, and whenever you're happy, you are already sharing it with so many people that you don't feel alone. But when you are vulnerable, you are bound to feel alone and isolated. So I think that is why a lot of people end up journaling whenever they're sort of, again,
Correct.
feeling vulnerable. So
Also, I
that
guess
that
now all of us can agree that I mean, Nikita, you still have time, but because we are almost 4 years, you still have time, seriously. But because we guys are 4 years elder to you, we can tell you that not always will you have a person to talk to, because life gets so busy, and you would not necessarily
And
have
a
a
bit
person to talk to.
fucked up too.
Yeah, it does get. I mean, we all have friends. We all have friends who we can talk to. And sometimes it will so happen that the person really wants to listen to you, but they have no time. It's
Yeah.
the responsibilities that do not allow you. So I think in moments like these, it's habits like journaling which can really help us, guys. And I think everyone should do it. Like, seriously, just in case if you
It's
guys,
Absolutely.
such a good cause, Sid.
I know, in
Awesome.
case
Couldn't
if
agree
you
more.
guys,
And knowing the kind of sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
You can continue. No, I was saying knowing the kind of person who I am when I will not go out and ask for help, you should journal the happy moments. But I end up being people and only journal the sad moments.
that's
I
okay.
have a
You'll
question though.
learn.
I have a question. Does
Did Sid phase out or did I phase out? Nice. Internet.
A few moments later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
you can
helps
also do this with
equally.
audio
I
recording.
started
Yeah, it
doing
helps a
that.
lot.
Sorry. I started doing that 1 second every day wala thing, that app.
Wow.
So you just record like just a second of your day, and then like every day just 1 second, okay. And as then when you keep recording, it will give you like a monthly bit of what you have done in the past 1 month in like one seconds.
That
And
is
then
very
imagine
interesting.
it just goes to an year, like it extends to an year, and it's so wonderful to just have like a whole, like a rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spotify.
I need to know the name of this thing.
1 second every day.
1 second.
So
Wow.
I lost
Today.
internet. Sorry, guys. So what I was saying was someone speaking about audio journaling by any chance, where you just open your voice recorder and you start speaking?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, it's good.
Yeah.
I can testify for that. It's a good thing to do.
I've recently seen a example of that. So yeah, you're going
Yeah.
good. Keep doing that.
Yeah. It's a good thing to do, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, in case if you're not someone who wants to document something, I mean, this is also a way of documenting, but you don't want to write it down on pen and paper because you're afraid that somebody at home can find it.
Dude, privacy is
yes.
such a big concern. Not even kidding.
Yeah. I mean, in 1 BHK,
No, I
there is
still
not a
have
lot
to
of
keep
space.
those diaries very privately.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
Very true.
It's
This
very
got too
risky.
real.
And I was saying also, when you feel like really motivated, or something, I have to do this in life, let's do this, or let's go for it, or something very exciting coming up, I tend to record it, not maybe write it, but record myself talking about it. You know, it serves as a motivation for at least like 2-3 months, and it's great. It helps a lot.
Yeah, I do the same, and I put it up on the internet and eventually wish that people will pay me money for that. I really do, guys. Okay, anyway, this session is ending. I'm just going to create a new link, and I hope you guys are joining. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yes.
Chalo guys, moving on a serious note. I actually forgot what I wanted to ask. But yeah, sure. So is there, since you've recently started journaling, is there any major difference that you see before journaling and now? Do you think that there's been a major change in you? Maybe the way you deal with situation, maybe the way you deal with people.
Yeah, I think stability is something that has occurred to me after journaling quite a lot, because I'll give you a gist of me as a person. I would freak out at the smallest things, freak out for a brief period of time, make it a big deal like the world is ending, and then
Yeah, I
once
know.
it ends, I'm like, take it, let's just go off, right? And what I used to do earlier is involve other people, talk to them, maybe seek for solutions from them, or maybe just talk to them about it. Yeah. And that would sort of eat both of our resources, not just me, but that person as well. Right. And journaling personally has enabled me to have a third person's perspective towards situations. And then when I write things down, I'm like, okay, is it really something that I should freak out about? Is it really something that I should bother other people about? And it's not just a question of bothering other people in the first place, but it's just about how am I dealing with that small situation, you know? And with time, I believe when I keep, like, once I start being very consistent, and down the line, 3-4 years down the line, even if the problem is very big in nature, I will be completely stable to handle it myself, you know, at least deal with it in certain ways that would not really bother people around me and me myself, you know. So yeah, one thing, stability is something that I've gained uh, in a very short period of time, you know, and I'm pretty proud of it. I would not say no. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
nice.
Yeah, you should be.
yeah.
Nice.
It's a tough thing to get.
And
I
I
still
know
don't
this
have
is
it.
very silly,
Yeah, Nikita, nothing is silly. Go ahead.
but when you are like, not when you're journaling, but when you are in the situation and you're like, okay, I have to respond to this now. I think about it like, okay, if I have to tell this to my diary, how is it going to be? Like, is it going to be something I write 2-3 pages about, or in a paragraph? And maybe it's not such a big deal, And like, someone, I'm conversing with the diary, right? So like, uh, would the diary think like I am a silly person? Matlab, I don't know, but I try to think like that. So that helps me, like, tone it down. Like, you don't need to overreact.
Yeah, right.
I mean, adding on to this, I don't know. It's a weird thing probably. It's kind of a negative, which I should not be saying this out loud over here. But I recently started this thing of making a pros and cons list, and I usually do it in the journal only. I mean, if I'm dealing with the situation, I like it my way. I want to list down the pros. I want to list down the cons, and then I come up to a conclusion. That has somewhat made me an over analyzer over time. I kind of contemplate extremely over situations, and it doesn't really end well. Of course, the pros and cons list help me any day. It gives me the right perspective. I know what to do next. But probably listing down these pros and cons for every situation is not the ideal way. I mean, that's something which I have realized. It makes you a snob.
Mansi, when you started talking, I was going to ask you, isme bura kya hai? And then when you went, I was like, oh, I can see why she's
अच्छा
saying
ये
that.
बुरा है इसमें.
Yeah.
No, dude, but seriously, I don't know if anybody of you have experienced this, but for some reason, मुझे ऐसा लगने लग जाता है that why am I thinking about the consequences? Why am I thinking how these consequences might lead to a certain conclusion? I do not have to think that much. It's not required. It's anyway going to happen what it's supposed to be. So
Yeah.
it's sometimes not very good. So yeah, pros and cons, do that, but don't contemplate over it. I'm being so
Suchitra,
conscious, you know.
so I and Suchitra recently had a conversation which was about a different topic, but she said something really beautiful that I think it can apply to every situation. And even if we think of situation per se, she's like, we are afraid or we fall in love or we think about what the image of the situation might be or the image of a particular person might be, and not necessarily the person or the situation itself. So before you approach any particular situation, you have to really think rationally, whether it's the situation that we are thinking of, or whether it's the image of the situation we are thinking of, whether it's the person who you think that, oh, this person is like that, but or is it the image of the person that you have in your mind? So I think if one starts really doing that, a lot of things will get easier moving forward. And Manshi should stop laughing on that, stop smiling on that.
Did
I
you
need
make
me
me
some
sound so
Suchitra.
smart, yaar?
I need
Thanks,
me some
yaar.
Suchitra.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, Varanya.
Hi, Varanya.
Hey.
Firstly,
Hi, Varanya.
how are you? How are you first?
I am okay. I was trying to hide my face somehow.
Yeah, that's okay. I told you we all look homeless, right? So look at us.
Yeah.
Do you think
Yeah.
any one of us is looking good?
Exactly.
I think everyone.
That
Including
includes
you.
you too.
Yeah, really. I mean, if that is how you look when you're sick, then you should never see us because we really look
I
sick.
know, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I and Mansi were just telling all of them that how nice your LinkedIn posts are and how everybody should read them.
Yeah.
Yeah, would it be
Oh,
creepy to
thanks.
say I was just looking at the same thing?
Actually,
Since
stalking
you
them right
mentioned
now.
it, I went on.
Exactly.
Yeah, you all of all of you are in proper podcast mode, and here I am.
Just
And
miss
we
you now.
actually
No, we're not.
we already
we're not.
spoke for we already spoke for 40 minutes and now we're almost at the end of this. So Varanya, we were all speaking about the topic of journalism and not journalism, journaling. Nobody should speak about journalism right now.
So,
Yeah.
Take two.
So we were speaking about how journaling has helped, and since you have been journaling since childhood, so can you just tell and share what exactly is your intention when you start to journal, and how exactly has it helped you? Because you've been journaling since childhood, right? So many different phases: college phase, then now office, then school. Once upon a time. So how exactly has it helped you?
All right. So I think firstly, I started because I do not think I was okay enough to talk to anybody about things that I felt like. That was the whole point of me writing it down, because I was way too embarrassed or ashamed probably in the beginning. But of course, it helps you understand your own emotions better. More often than not, it's also because it gives you clarity of what exactly you want. I think humans are really impulsive sometimes, and we don't really figure out what exactly we want or why we are feeling in a certain way. So the main thing that I think people journal in common is because they want clarity of what they want from life or situation or people. And of course, it also is kind of an addiction, because it gives you a disciplined motive that you have something to look forward to. Towards the end of the day, you can write something, or towards the end of the day, before sleeping, you have some chores to do. So all of that is kind of, I think, gives you a rush or a kick or adrenaline for that matter. Of course, it's tough when you try sticking to writing journal every day. So I do not think I write it every day recently, but I think I do write when I'm overwhelmed. I do not want to burden another person with my thoughts and emotions and feelings and blah, blah. So that's the whole point of me writing. to get some visibility, if I will. So I think it only helps you to get hold of yourself. It, even when you're talking, you are rather clear. You're not messed up in your head. And if you die tomorrow, you leave something behind, right? You leave for people to read, understand you better, or probably all the misconceptions that you've had in your living here, all of them can be wiped off. So I think that's how it helps.
Nice.
Wow.
Pretty nice. So I think, guys, we've spoken about journaling enough, and we know that Suchitra is a poet, and we want her to end with a poem. So before leaving, we know that a lot of people want to journal but don't know exactly where to start. So quickly, in one sentence, if we can say that, how should a person start? And in case if they have second thoughts about journaling, why should they do it? Siddhant, not Sid. Siddhant, we will start with you.
All right. Being a newbie to this thing, I would just suggest one thing to people, that just do it, man. Don't give second thoughts to it. Just start doing it. If you do not have a pen and paper, just do it on the phone. Okay. Uh, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just do it, and you will find your own way. Don't overthink it. And
All right.
also document the good stuff, not only the bad stuff. We all are pessimists, but come on, let's just do the good stuff as well. So yeah.
Cool. Nikita.
I completely agree with Siddhant, but I want to say, even you can't get yourself to write anything, a paragraph works as well. You don't have to go writing 10 pages about a day. Write 2-3 lines, 10 lines, whatever feels right, but start it anywhere. Notes work, pen and paper works, anywhere. Just begin.
Okay. Suchitra.
Like Siddhant and Nikita have said, just take whatever device material available in front of you and scribble or record, type, whatever is coming to your mind. Remember, you don't have to go in length with the quantity. You don't have to promise yourself that you're going to write 16 pages a day. You just have to promise yourself that you're going to do a line, and that's enough. You just, because you're doing this for yourself, right? And it will eventually turn into discipline. So don't worry about consistency. Just worry about the fact that you're just doing it. Just make yourself do it. That's all. And discipline will follow.
All right. Mansi.
Everything is covered, but yeah, journaling can really be a fuel to your soul, guys. You should definitely do this. There was this one suggestion which my friend gave to this another friend who was not really convinced to journal, but she said that write down the 10 highlights of your day in a word. Just do that for a day, and then start the next day following the same process. You don't have to be elaborate. It's your life. You know all the details. You do not have to jot it down in detail. Just try to be yourself. Just try writing it down. And just like Siddhant said, be happy about the good things as well. We're not here to be pessimistic. So yeah, I really hope, man, this brings a lot of people to journaling.
Yeah. All right. Last, but I think this is going to be the highlight. Varanya, is there anything that you want to tell to people who want to start journaling? Or in case if they're having
I
any
think
second thoughts?
Siddhant covered it. That you also have to write about the good things, the positives of your life. I think even that's very important. Otherwise, your journal or diary is all about your negatives, and it really doesn't reflect anything good that you've done in life. So it's really important that you also write the moments which truly made you happy, or you probably made someone else happy. It's also equally important. Other than that, the only thing I would say is if you really want to write about something, you can start with what you're really grateful about in a day. I think that's the best thing, because it, one, helps you to replay the entire day, and secondly, it also allows you to kind of have a positive outlook. And then eventually you can start with whatever pissed you off, whatever angry, whatever things made you angry, etc. So I think it's really important also to start with what you're grateful if. I have a diary which is a mind mate. It's just that what mood do you carry? It's mostly what mood do you carry towards the end of the day? What mood are you in when you're going to bed? You have to journal that, and also 5 things that you're truly grateful about. and why exactly is that? So it starts with small things, and then towards the end of the diary, you can write about 5-10 lines how your day went. It also like kind of involves how pessimistic or optimistic you are based on what you focus on. So yeah, that's it.
Nice. So, guys, I hope this podcast really helps you. We know that we are at a point in life, especially I think majority of the people watching this are going to be of my age. And since we are in a transition period, we know that not necessarily will you have people around. It's not like people will not want to be around. People will want to be around, but unfortunately, it gets so busy that even if people want to be around, they cannot be around. And you need to be okay with the fact that there will come a time where you will not necessarily have a person to share happiness or sorrow with. So in that situations, I think journaling can really help you guys. It's also proven that it's a good thing for your mental health to do it. So do it. And in case if you guys have any suggestions as to how someone can do it better, drop them in the comments. With that said, Suchitra, I'm going to put you on spotlight. We need to hear a nice poem. And with that, we are going to end this podcast.
Thanks. I suddenly feel very validated and very precious. Thank you. So since the whole vibe of this podcast is very comforting, so there's this poem I wrote, not very subtle. The title is Comfort Poems. And it kind of came from that idea where most of the times when you're alone and when you're feeling vulnerable and sad, there's no one around you to comfort you. There's no one around you to tell you that, hey, look, you know what, it's gonna be fine. And then, there are just some rough nights where you're just like, you're back to the wall and you're just literally sliding down when you're crying, and you just end up thinking how if the objects around you could just turn into comfort objects, if they could just comfort you, if they could just humanize for that fleeting moment. And then this is from where this poem came. So I'll just begin. A comfort poem is built out of velvet walls. Velvet walls dance softly on your cheeks, whispering, it's okay, on every scar. Velvet walls don't make a sound. Velvet walls don't hurt your back when you're sliding down, pulling your legs closer to your chest before the apocalypse. A comfort poem will shield you from the cracks in the ground you see yourself falling in. It promises you a ground from the backyard of your daydream with everything green and two butterflies around. A comfort poem may not fix the cracks, but it will help you fill them with a new planting root. A comfort poem will taste like a Hosea song. It will leave you with an aftertaste of passionate honey when you need it most. It will dawn on you when you're no longer around that you are the word you're running away from. Love. A comfort poem smells like a lilac candle which builds a mountain top out of your roof. A lilac candle does not promise cocoa butter, but it does promise strength. A lilac candle holds the palm of your hand with an endless surge of love which will stay long after it has faded. A comfort poem takes off its overcoat on a December evening to shield you from snow. The overcoat delivers the warmth of a fireplace in your cozy apartment. The overcoat fits you like your abandoned 17-year-old self who you just learned deserved better. A comfort poem will disguise itself as the pendant you wear on every outfit because you cannot part ways. The pendant will stay. The pendant will turn into sunflower petals when the fields turn grey. A comfort poem will find you in the photograph you framed on your wall. The photograph will play like a yellow-tinted film in your mind when you're blue. The photograph will remind you that comfort is a poem you wrote to become someone's velvet walls. A comfort poem has taken refuge in your skin and it whispers, it's okay to find me in someone else too. That's all.